The stars changed as the HSS Thunderbolt came out of slip space. The ship's engines hummed softly as it glided into the New Sol star system. On the bridge, Captain Tae-ho Kim stood with his hands behind his back, watching the main screen. "Status report," he said. Lieutenant Hansol looked up from his console. "All systems working well, Captain. We have reached the New Sol system as planned." Captain Tae-ho nodded. He was a tall man with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. His uniform was clean and pressed, with the Earth Fleet patch on his shoulder. 20 years in space had taught him to stay calm, even in the worst times. "What about the colony?" he asked. Dr. Jae-yun Park spoke up from her science station. "Not good, sir. The Gliese ships have the planet surrounded. They are attacking the outer defense stations. Many people are trying to escape." Tae-ho's face stayed calm, but his eyes grew hard. New Sol was home to 5 million people. Farmers, teachers, families with children, all now in danger because the Gliese had decided humans were taking up too much space in this part of the galaxy. "Any word from Admiral Do-hyun?" he asked. Communications Officer Dae-jung checked his earpiece. "Yes, sir. The Admiral says we are the only ship close enough to help. The rest of the fleet is still 3 days away." Tae-ho walked to the front of the bridge. The main screen showed 3 large Gliese battlecruisers in orbit around New Sol. They were attacking a small space station. Escape pods were launching from it, carrying people to safety. "How many Gliese ships in total?" he asked. 3 big battlecruisers and 7 smaller attack ships," Hansol replied. "Each battlecruiser has enough firepower to destroy half a continent." The bridge grew quiet. The Thunderbolt was just 1 ship. "Sir," Hansol said softly, "they haven't seen us yet. We could wait for the rest of the fleet." Captain Tae-ho turned to face his crew. "Look at those escape pods. In 3 days, there won't be anyone left to save." He sat in his command chair. "Open a channel to the Gliese ships." Dae-jung looked surprised. "Open a channel? You mean, let them know we're here?" "Yes," Tae-ho said. "It would be rude not to say hello." The crew exchanged looks. Their captain was known for being direct, but this seemed like asking for trouble. Dae-jung pressed some buttons. "Channel open, sir." Tae-ho leaned forward. "This is Captain Tae-ho Kim of the Earth ship Thunderbolt. You are attacking a peaceful human colony. Stop your attack and leave this system immediately." For a moment, there was only static. Then the screen changed to show an alien face. The Gliese had gray-green skin with ridges on their foreheads. This one wore a decorated uniform. "A single human ship," the alien commander said. His voice translator made him sound metallic. "I am War Leader Zarks of the Gliese Coalition. Your colonies push into our space. We are taking back what should be ours." Tae-ho kept his voice level. "New Sol has been a human colony for 70 years. There were no Gliese claims when we settled here." War Leader Zarks made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Claims change. Power decides who owns what. And you, Captain, have brought 1 small ship against my fleet." Dr. Jae-yun whispered to Tae-ho, "Sir, I'm picking up a transmission from the planet. Someone is trying to talk to us." Tae-ho nodded slightly. "Put it on screen 2. A second screen lit up, showing the face of a middle-aged Korean woman. Her office behind her was shaking, dust falling from the ceiling. "This is Governor Juri of New Sol," she said. "Thank goodness Earth sent help. They've been bombing our defense systems for 2 days. We have thousands of people in emergency shelters, but they won't last much longer." Tae-ho kept his eyes on Zarks while replying to the governor. "We're here now. Start moving your people to the southern continent. We'll keep the Gliese busy." Zarks laughed again. "1 ship will keep us busy. Your ship isn't even one of your newer models. It looks outdated." That was true, in a way. The Thunderbolt had an older design on the outside, but looks could be deceiving. "I'll give you 1 chance to leave," Tae-ho said calmly. "After that, I cannot promise your safety. The Deadliest commander's face showed disbelief, then anger. You threaten me? Perhaps I should show you what happens to humans who don't know their place. The screen went black as Zarks cut the connection. Han Solo looked up from his display. Sir, 2 Gliese battlecruisers are changing course. They're heading straight for us. Dr. Jayun added, the third one is still attacking the planet. They're targeting the main spaceport now. There are civilian ships trying to take off. Taho turned to his first officer, Commander Sumin. What do you think, Commander? Should we show them what the Thunderbolt can really do? Sumin frowned. The Prometheus protocol is still classified, sir. If we use it here, if we don't use it here, people die, Taho said simply. At that moment, a new voice joined the conversation. A tall, thin alien with pale blue skin stepped onto the bridge, escorted by 2 human security officers. Captain, I must advise against any show of force, the alien said. I am Krell from the Galactic Council. I was sent to help find a peaceful solution. Taho looked at the diplomat. Krell, you've been on my ship for 3 weeks. Have you seen any sign that the Gliese want peace? Krell's long fingers moved nervously. They are aggressive, yes, but escalation will only. An alarm cut him off. Han Solo shouted, incoming fire. Multiple missile launches from both battlecruisers. Defensive pattern Alpha, Taho ordered calmly. Show them our basic shields, nothing more. The ship hummed as its shield system activated. On the screen, dozens of missiles streaked toward them. Impact in 5 seconds, Han Solo counted down. The ship shook slightly as the missiles hit the shields. Lights flickered, but nothing more. Shields holding at 92%, reported Engineer Sunwoo from his station. Basic defense system working perfectly, sir. Krell looked shocked. Your ship took a full missile barrage from 2 battlecruisers with barely any effect. Taho allowed himself a small smile. The Thunderbolt has certain upgrades. On the screen, they could see the Gliese ships adjusting position, preparing for another attack. They look confused, Sumin observed. They should be, said Sunwoo. Their sensors are still telling them we're an outdated Earth vessel. They expected us to be destroyed or badly damaged. Taho was about to reply when Dr. Jayun called out, Captain, the 3rd battlecruiser has fired on the civilian spaceport. One of the evacuation ships was hit. The bridge screen showed a civilian transport tumbling from the impact, trailing smoke and debris. It had been carrying at least 200 people. The bridge went silent. Captain Taho's face hardened as he watched the damaged transport struggle to maintain flight. Sir, said Han Solo quietly, there are 7 more civilian ships trying to take off. The Gliese ship is targeting them next. Taho stood up, his decision made. No more holding back. Lieutenant Han Solo, prepare to activate the Prometheus protocol. Level 1 only for now. Han Solo's eyes widened. Level 1. Aye, sir. He began entering a complex sequence into his console. Krell stepped forward. Captain, please, whatever this protocol is, using it will change everything. The balance of power. Look at the screen, Krell, Taho said, pointing to the damaged civilian ship. That's my balance of power. Taho turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to all Gliese ships. When the channel was open, he spoke clearly. This is Captain Taho of the HFY Thunderbolt. You were warned. What happens next is your doing. He nodded to Han Solo, who pressed the final key in the sequence. Prometheus Protocol Level 1, activated, the ship's computer announced. Outside, the Thunderbolt began to change. What had appeared to be standard hull plating shifted like liquid metal. Hidden weapon ports appeared all over the ship. A soft blue glow surrounded the vessel as its true shield system came online. On the bridge of the Gliese ship, War Leader Zarks watched in growing horror as his sensor officer reported the impossible readings. Sir, the officer said, voice shaking, that ship, it's not what we thought it was. The deadliest human warship had arrived. And it was just getting started. War Leader Zark stared at the screen in disbelief. The small human ship was changing before his eyes. What had looked like an outdated vessel moments ago now bristled with weapons. Its hull glowed with energy that his sensors couldn't identify. "What is happening?" he demanded. "What kind of ship is that?" His science officer shook his head. "Unknown, War Leader. Our database has no record of this human technology." On the Thunderbolt, Captain Tahoe watched as his ship's true form was revealed. The Prometheus Protocol had transformed the vessel from a seemingly ordinary cruiser into something the galaxy had never seen before. "Status report," he ordered. Engineer Sun Wu's voice was filled with pride. "Level 1 transformation complete, Captain. All weapon systems online. Shield strength at full capacity." Lieutenant Hansol added, "Targeting systems locked on all 3 Gliese battlecruisers. Ready to fire on your command." Captain Tahoe nodded, but didn't give the order to fire. Instead, he turned to the alien diplomat. "Krell, I'm giving the Gliese one more chance. You should tell them what they're facing." Krell's blue skin had turned pale. "Captain, I had no idea your species had developed such technology. This changes everything in the galactic balance." "It only changes things for those who attack us," Tahoe replied. "Open a channel to War Leader Zarks." When the Gliese commander appeared on screen, his confidence was gone. His eyes darted around, trying to understand what he was seeing. "This is your final warning," Captain Tahoe said calmly. "Leave this system now, or I will be forced to demonstrate what the Thunderbolt can do." Zarks tried to sound brave. "You think one ship, no matter how advanced, can defeat my entire fleet? We are the Gliese Coalition. We do not retreat." Captain Tahoe sighed. "Then you leave me no choice." He turned to Hansol. "Target their weapon systems only. Minimal casualties." "Aye, Captain," Hansol replied, fingers dancing over his console. Dr. Jai-Yun looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm detecting energy buildup in the lead battlecruiser. They're preparing to fire their main cannon at the colony." Tahoe's eyes narrowed. "We're out of time. Fire." Hansol pressed a button, and the Thunderbolt responded. A series of bright blue beams shot out from various points on the ship. They moved with impossible precision, striking each Gliese vessel exactly where their weapon systems were located. There were no massive explosions, no destroyed ships, just precise, surgical strikes. On the screen, they could see the Gliese ships suddenly go dark in sections. Their weapons powered down, leaving them unable to attack, but still intact. War Leader Zarks' face showed shock. "What have you done?" "I disabled your weapons," Tahoe answered. "Your life support and engines still work. You can leave this system, but you can no longer harm anyone here." In the background of Zarks' bridge, alarms were blaring. Officers ran back and forth, trying to understand what had happened to their ships. A new voice spoke up on the Thunderbolt's bridge. Yang Me, the AI integration specialist, had been quiet until now. "Captain, I've been working with the ship's AI to analyze their systems. The Gliese are using stolen technology. Their weapons weren't developed by them." Dr. Jai-Yun moved to Yang Me's station to look at her findings. "She's right, Captain. This matches technology from the Vortex Nebula region. The Gliese must have taken it from another species." Captain Tahoe wasn't surprised. The Gliese had a reputation for taking what wasn't theirs. That's why they were trying to claim New Sol now. Suddenly, Hansol called out, "Sir, more Gliese ships coming out of slip space. A lot more." The main screen showed 12 new Gliese vessels appearing at the edge of the system. Leading them was a massive ship, at least 3 times larger than the battlecruisers. "That's the Worldrender," Krell whispered. "The Gliese flagship. It's commanded by Supreme War Leader Vorix himself." Captain Tahoe remained calm. "Interesting. They must consider us a serious threat to send their Supreme Leader." The communications officer spoke up. "Sir, we're being hailed by the Worldrender." "Put it through," Taiho ordered. The screen showed a Gliese similar to Zark's, but older, with deeper ridges on his forehead and cold eyes. He wore an elaborate uniform covered in symbols of rank. "I am Supreme War Leader Vorix of the Gliese Coalition," the alien announced. "You have attacked our ships in our territory." Captain Taiho raised an eyebrow. "Your territory? This is a human colony that has existed peacefully for 70 years. And I only disabled your weapons after you attacked civilian evacuation ships." Vorex's eyes narrowed. "What is your ship?" "Our records show nothing like it in the human fleet." "That's because we don't advertise everything we build," Taiho replied. "The HSS Thunderbolt is a prototype, the first of many." This wasn't entirely true. The Thunderbolt was currently one of a kind, but Earth was building more. Captain Taiho saw no reason to share that information. Vorex studied him. "You disabled 3 battle cruisers without destroying them. Impressive control. But now you face the might of our main fleet. Your one ship, no matter how advanced, cannot hope to prevail." Before Taiho could answer, a transmission came in from the planet. Governor Juri appeared on a side screen. Her face was dirty, and smoke filled the background. "Captain Taiho, thank you for stopping their attack," she said. "We've begun evacuation to the southern continent, but we need more time. At least 5 hours to move everyone to safety." Taiho nodded. "You'll have your time, Governor." He turned back to Vorex. "You heard her. For the next 5 hours, you and your fleet will remain where you are." Vorex laughed, a harsh sound. "You are giving me orders. The World Render alone has enough firepower to reduce that planet to ash. What will you do, Captain?" "Disable all my ships as well." Captain Taiho stood up from his chair. "If necessary, yes." Commander Sumin approached Taiho and spoke quietly. "Sir, even with the Prometheus protocol, we haven't tested the ship against this many opponents at once." "Then today will be a good test," Taiho replied. He addressed Vorex again. "Supreme War Leader, I suggest you scan my ship thoroughly. Understand what you're facing before you make a decision you'll regret." Vorex seemed to consider this. He spoke to someone off-screen, likely ordering the scan. While they waited, Yamme whispered to Hansel, "Should we tell the captain about the Phantom Drive?" "It's ready for testing." Hansel shook his head. "Not yet. Let's see if we need it." Vorex's expression changed as the scan results came in. His eyes widened, and for the first time, he showed something close to fear. "By the void," he whispered. "What have the humans built?" Captain Taiho allowed himself a small smile. "Now you understand. The Thunderbolt isn't just a warship. It's a message from Earth. We've been patient with Gliese aggression. That patience has ended." Vorex regained his composure. "Impressive weapon systems, but we still outnumber you 13-1. "Numbers aren't everything," Taiho replied. "But if you doubt me..." He turned to Hansel. "Lieutenant, prepare to activate Prometheus Protocol Level 2. Hansel's eyes widened. "Level 2, sir. That's never been field tested." "Today seems like a good day for firsts," Taiho said. As Hansel began the activation sequence, the Thunderbolt hummed with new energy. The blue glow around the ship intensified, and the hull began to change again, revealing even more advanced systems. On the screen, Vorex watched with growing alarm as his sensors showed the human ship's power levels rising beyond anything he had ever seen. The deadliest human warship was about to show why it deserved that title. The Thunderbolt's hull continued to change as Prometheus Protocol Level 2 activated. Panels shifted, revealing new weapon systems that glowed with strange energy. The entire ship seemed to pulse with power. On the bridge, the crew watched in amazement. Most of them had never seen Level 2 activated before. Even during training, they had only used simulations. "Level 2 activation complete, Captain," Hansel reported. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed excitement. Captain Taiho nodded. "Status report." Engineer Sunwoo checked his readings. All systems functioning at 120% of expected capacity, sir. The ship is exceeding design parameters. Is that safe? Commander Sumin asked. Sun Wu grinned. The ship likes to show off, Commander. On the main screen, Supreme War Leader Vorix was trying to hide his concern. Behind him, police officers rushed around, preparing for battle. Your ship's transformation is impressive, Captain, Vorix said. But my fleet has surrounded your position. You have nowhere to run. Tai-Ho smiled slightly. Who said anything about running? He turned to Yang Mei. Is the Phantom Drive ready? Yang Mei looked up from her console. Yes, Captain. All systems green. What's a Phantom Drive? Asked Krell, the alien diplomat. He had been watching quietly, his blue skin pale with worry. Senior Engineer Hyunchik, who had just arrived on the bridge, answered. It's a revolutionary jump system. It allows the ship to make micro-jumps during combat. We can disappear from one spot and appear in another almost instantly. Krell looked shocked. That's impossible. The energy requirements alone would. Apparently not impossible for humans. Captain Tai-Ho interrupted. He turned to Hansol. Begin Phantom Jump Sequence. Let's show our friends what else the Thunderbolt can do. Hansol entered commands into his console. Phantom Drive spinning up. Ready in 3, 2, 1. The bridge lights flickered for a moment. On the screen, they could see Vorex's eyes widen as the Thunderbolt simply vanished from his view. An instant later, the Thunderbolt reappeared, directly behind the Worldrender. Perfect positioning, Tai-Ho said. Target their engine control systems and communication array. Disable only, no destruction. Hansol fired the weapons. Blue energy beams struck the massive Gliese flagship with surgical precision. The giant ship's engines flickered and died. Its communication dishes exploded in small, controlled bursts. Direct hit, Hansol reported. The Worldrender is dead in space. Their communications are offline. Before the rest of the Gliese fleet could react, Tai-Ho ordered, Phantom jump again. Position us between the fleet and New Seoul. The ship disappeared and reappeared where Tai-Ho had ordered, now between the Gliese ships and the human colony. The Gliese fleet was in chaos. Their flagship was disabled, their supreme leader cut off from communication, and the human ship could apparently teleport at will. Sir, Dajun called from communications. We're receiving a transmission from Admiral Do-hyun. Put him through, Tai-Ho ordered. Admiral Do-hyun appeared on a side screen. He was an older man with a serious face. Captain Tai-Ho, I've received reports of your engagement. The rest of the fleet is still 2 days out. Can you hold your position? Yes, Admiral, Tai-Ho replied. The Thunderbolt has the situation under control. The Council is debating whether to authorize the use of the Singularity Lance, the Admiral said quietly. They're concerned about revealing our full capabilities. Captain Tai-Ho frowned. The Singularity Lance was the Thunderbolt's most powerful weapon, a system that could create controlled micro-black holes. It was the ship's deepest secret. I hope that won't be necessary, Admiral, he replied. We've disabled their flagship without it. Good work, Captain. Keep me informed. Do-hyun out. The Admiral's image disappeared. Suddenly, Hansol called out, Captain, the remaining Gliese ships are taking attack positions. They're targeting the civilian evacuation ships. On the screen, they could see the Gliese fleet moving to surround a group of transports trying to leave the planet. Hundreds of civilian ships, packed with families, escaping the attack. Dr. Jae-yun spoke up. Captain, I've been analyzing their communication patterns. The Gliese are desperate. They know our ship represents a threat to their power. They're trying to force us to surrender by threatening civilians. Captain Tai-Ho stood up. Then we need to send a clearer message. He turned to Yang Mei. Activate the ship's AI full interface. Sir, Yang Mei looked surprised. The AI full interface is still experimental. So is everything else on this ship, Tai-Ho said. Do it. Young Mei pressed a sequence of buttons. A soft hum filled the bridge, and a holographic figure appeared next to Taiho. It looked like a young Korean woman in a uniform. "Thunderbolt Eye Online," the figure said. "How may I assist, Captain?" Taiho addressed the AI directly. "We need to protect multiple civilian ships while facing 12 hostile vessels. Options." The AI's eyes seemed to look inward for a moment. Calculating. "The Phantom Drive can be modified to create a shield bubble around the civilian fleet. It will require 47% of our power reserves. Will we still have enough power to fight?" Taiho asked. "Yes, Captain. 53% power is sufficient for defensive operations and limited offensive capability." Taiho nodded. "Do it." The AI disappeared, and the ship hummed with new energy. Outside, a blue field extended from the Thunderbolt, stretching out to surround the civilian ships in a protective bubble. On the planet below, Governor Juri was coordinating the evacuation from a bunker. Beside her, Captain Minho of the civilian rescue vessel Sky Hope watched the screens in amazement. "What is that ship doing?" Minho asked, pointing to the Thunderbolt. "Saving us all," Juri replied. She pressed a button on her console. "Captain Taiho, this is Governor Juri. Whatever you're doing up there, it's working. The shield is protecting our ships. We need 30 more minutes to get the last civilians to safety." "You'll have your 30 minutes, Governor," Taiho's voice came back. The Gliese ships, seeing their targets now protected, turned their weapons on the Thunderbolt instead. Dozens of energy beams and missiles struck the ship's shields. "Shields holding at 89%, reported Sunwoo. "We can take this all day, Captain." Captain Taiho nodded. "Good, but I don't want to spend all day here." He looked at Hansol. "Target their weapon systems, one by one. Show them we can disable their entire fleet if we choose to." Hansol grinned. "With pleasure, sir." The Thunderbolt fired again, perfectly aimed shots striking each Gliese ship in turn. One by one, their weapon systems went dark. On the bridge of one of the disabled Gliese ships, a new figure appeared. It was Krelax, Krell's superior, and a high-ranking member of the Galactic Council. He had arrived to see the conflict for himself. "By all the stars," Krelax whispered as he watched the Thunderbolt systematically disable the Gliese fleet. "The humans have advanced beyond anything we imagined." Next to him, a Gliese officer spoke bitterly. "This is why we had to strike now. Our spies discovered their technological leap. In 5 years, they would have had a fleet of these ships." Krelax turned to him in shock. "You knew. You attacked them because you feared their advancement." "We attacked to survive," the officer replied. Back on the Thunderbolt, the last of the Gliese ships lost its weapons capability. The entire fleet now floated powerless, unable to attack, but still with functioning life support and basic systems. "All Gliese weapon systems neutralized," Captain Hansol reported proudly. Captain Taiho allowed himself a small smile. "Open a channel to all Gliese ships." When the channel was open, he spoke clearly. "This is Captain Taiho of the HSS Thunderbolt. As you can see, your fleet has been neutralized without a single casualty. This is humanity's way. We defend ourselves with precision rather than destruction." He paused before continuing. "Your ship's engines still work. You are free to leave this system. If you return with hostile intentions, next time we may not be so merciful." As he finished speaking, a priority message came through from Earth Command. Admiral Du-hyun's face appeared, looking grave. "Captain, the Council has made their decision about the Singularity Lance," he said. "You are authorized to use it if necessary." Taiho looked at the disabled Gliese fleet on his screen, then back at the Admiral. "With respect, sir," he replied, "I don't think that will be necessary today." But as he spoke, the ship's sensors detected a new energy signature. Something massive was coming out of slip space at the edge of the system. The deadliest human warship had won this battle. But the war, it seemed, was just beginning. "New contact detected. Han Sol announced, his voice tense. Massive energy signature at the edge of the system. Captain Tahoe turned to the main screen. Show me. The screen changed to show a swirling blue vortex forming in space. It grew larger, pulsing with energy. Then a ship emerged, larger than anything they had seen before. It dwarfed even the Gliese flagship Worldrender. What is that? Whispered Commander Sumin. Dr. Jai-Yun worked quickly at her station. Running analysis. It's Gliese design, but it's not in any of our databases. This ship is new. The diplomat Krell stepped forward, his blue skin almost white with fear. That's the Extinction. It's a planet killer. The Gliese have been building it in secret for years. Captain Tahoe's face remained calm, but his eyes narrowed. A planet killer? You mean it can destroy an entire planet? Yes, Krell replied. The Galactic Council has heard rumors, but we never confirmed its existence until now. The massive ship moved slowly into the system. It was shaped like a giant spear, with huge energy collectors along its sides. The front ended in a point that glowed with red energy. Captain, Han Sol reported, the ship is charging its main weapon. Based on energy readings, it's targeting New Sol. Governor Jury's voice came through the communication system, filled with panic. Captain Tahoe, our sensors show a new Gliese ship. It's enormous. I see it, Governor, Tahoe replied. How is the evacuation going? We still have over 10,000 people waiting for transport, she said. We need at least 15 more minutes. Tahoe turned to his crew. Then we'll give them 15 minutes. He looked at Senior Engineer Hyun-Shik. Can the Phantom Drive get us close to that ship? Hyun-Shik checked his calculations. Yes, Captain, but their energy field is massive. We'll need to appear at least 10,000 kilometers from their hull. That's close enough, Tahoe said. Prepare for Phantom Jump. The Thunderbolt disappeared from its position near the disabled Gliese fleet and reappeared closer to the Extinction. Even from this distance, the planet killer looked enormous. A communication request came through. Captain Tahoe nodded to Daejung to accept it. The screen showed a Gliese unlike any they had seen before. This one had cybernetic implants covering parts of its face. Its eyes glowed red. I am High Commander Zex of the Extinction, the Gliese said, its voice cold and mechanical. Your interference ends now, human. Tahoe met the alien's gaze without flinching. This is a peaceful human colony. Leave now, or we will stop you. Zex laughed, a sound like metal grinding. You have one small ship. The Extinction was built to end worlds. Your colony will be our first demonstration. Tahoe turned to Han Sol. Target their main weapon. Standard weapons only. Han Sol fired the Thunderbolt's weapons. Blue energy beams streaked toward the Extinction and bounced off its shields without effect. No damage to their systems, Han Sol reported, looking worried. Zex's laugh came through again. The Extinction's shields were designed to withstand an entire fleet. Your weapons are useless. Captain Tahoe remained calm. Then we'll need something stronger. He turned to Hyun-Shik. Prepare the Singularity Lance. A hush fell over the bridge. The Singularity Lance was the Thunderbolt's ultimate weapon, something so powerful it had never been used outside of tests. Hyun-Shik typed rapidly at his console. Singularity Lance preparation sequence initiated. It will take 3 minutes to charge. Zex continued, unaware of what was happening. In 5 minutes, this colony will be dust. Then we will hunt down every human settlement, one by one. Your species advanced too quickly. The Gliese will not allow it. The truth was now clear. The Gliese had attacked not because of territory, but because they feared humanity's rapid technological progress. Captain, Yao-Mi called from her station. The ship's AI has completed its analysis of the Extinction. Their main weapon draws power from those collectors on the sides. If we target those instead of the weapon itself, we might be able to disable it. Tahoe nodded. Update the targeting solution for the Singularity Lance. Focus on the port side collectors. As the Singularity Lance charged, the Thunderbolt's hull began to glow with new energy. A section of the ship's front opened, revealing a strange device that seemed to bend the light around it. Singularity Lance at 60% charge, Heinrich reported. On the main screen, the Extinction's weapon continued to power up. The red glow at its tip grew brighter. Their weapon will fire in 3 minutes, Hansol warned. Taiho looked at the screen showing Nusul. The last evacuation ships were still loading people. We need more time, he said. Yang Mei, can the ship's AI help us? Yang Mei activated the AI interface again. The holographic woman appeared. I have been analyzing the situation, Captain, the AI said. I can use the Phantom Drive to create a momentary distraction. A series of micro-jumps around the Extinction might confuse their targeting systems. Do it, Taiho ordered. The Thunderbolt began a series of rapid jumps, appearing and disappearing around the Extinction. Each time it appeared, it fired its standard weapons at different parts of the massive ship. None of the shots did any damage, but the constant movement and attacks forced the Extinction to adjust its targeting repeatedly. It's working, Hansol reported. They've paused their weapon charge sequence. Singularity Lance at 90% charge, Heinrich announced. On the screen, they could see High Commander Zex shouting orders to his crew, frustrated by the Thunderbolt's evasive maneuvers. Singularity Lance fully charged, Heinrich finally reported. Captain Taiho took a deep breath. This moment would change everything. Once the galaxy saw what the Singularity Lance could do, the balance of power would shift forever. Target locked on their port side collectors, Hansol confirmed. Taiho looked around at his crew. They had trained for this, but never expected to use this weapon in actual combat. Fire the Singularity Lance, he ordered. The strange device at the front of the Thunderbolt pulsed once, then fired a beam of pure darkness. It wasn't energy or light. It was the absence of both. Where the beam traveled, space itself seemed to warp and bend. When it struck the Extinction's shield, there was no explosion. Instead, the shield simply ceased to exist where the beam touched it. The beam continued through, striking the massive energy collectors on the side of the planet killer. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the collectors began to collapse inward, as if being crushed by an invisible force. A small black sphere had formed where the beam hit, growing slowly but steadily. What is happening? Zex demanded, his mechanical voice showing fear for the first time. That, Captain Taiho explained calmly, is a controlled micro-black hole, small enough to collapse those energy collectors, but not large enough to consume your entire ship. We can make it larger if necessary. On the screen, they could see the Extinction's crew panicking. System after system began to shut down as the energy collectors imploded. Their weapon is powering down, Hansol reported. The black hole is stable and contained to their port side. Can you hear me, High Commander? Taiho asked. Zex's face appeared again on screen, no longer confident. What have you done? This technology, it's impossible. Not for humans, Taiho replied. Now you have a choice. Your ship is crippled but not destroyed. Your crew can still escape. Order all Gliese forces to leave this system permanently, or I will create a black hole large enough to consume your entire vessel. There was a long silence before Zex responded. We will withdraw. Captain Taiho nodded. A wise decision. The micro-black hole will dissipate in 1 hour. That should give you enough time to evacuate any crew near that section. As the communication ended, a cheer went up from the Thunderbolt's crew. The disabled Gliese fleet was already beginning to turn around, limping away from Nusul. Admiral Duhyun's face appeared on a side screen. Excellent work, Captain. The Council is surprised by your use of the Singularity Lance, but they cannot argue with the results. 0 casualties on both sides, and the colony is safe. Thank you, Admiral, Taiho replied. The Gliese now understand that attacking humans has consequences. Indeed, the Admiral said. But this changes everything. Once word spreads about the Thunderbolt and its capabilities, every species in the galaxy will be reassessing their relationship with Earth. Captain Tahoe looked at his crew, humans who had just changed the course of galactic history. Then let them reassess, he said. Humanity has been peaceful for centuries. We developed these technologies for defense, not conquest. Today proves that. We could have destroyed their entire fleet, but we chose precision over devastation. Krell stepped forward. My superiors at the Galactic Council will want to discuss this technology. They will fear it. They should respect it, not fear it, Tahoe corrected. The HSS Thunderbolt is the deadliest warship ever built, yes. But today, we use that power to save lives, not take them. As the Glee's ships retreated from the system, Governor Jury sent one final message from New Sol. Captain Tahoe, the people of New Sol thank you. The evacuation is complete. All civilians are safe. Her voice broke with emotion. We will remember this day. The day humanity showed both its strength and its mercy. Captain Tahoe looked out at the stars. The Thunderbolt had delivered its message. Humanity would not be underestimated again. The deadliest human warship had arrived. And with it, a new era of peace through strength.